Hello everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here with the first half of September, the cosmic current and the energetic landscape. Let's get right into it. Without wasting any time, if you are new here, welcome, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Be sure to check out all of my information in the description box below. We're just gonna dive right in because September is powerful. September is potent. We're still in August right now as I'm recording this, and August has been holy energy, minefield, doozy. I was actually guided way back in January, February to take the first 2 weeks of my calendar in August very light. And I honor and trust that when my spirit team, when my guides come in and direct me that way, because I know that I'm going to need it, and it always pans out in some capacity. And sure enough, I listened to the best of my ability. I did lighten up the first 2 weeks of August, and thankfully I did that because the first 2 weeks of August, Mercury was very retrograde. I had a lot of things crop up that were unexpected, and a few of them had absolutely nothing to do with me, but I needed to create space in my calendar and my schedule to be able to be of service personally. And it worked out, and it was a lot. And thankfully, because I had lightened up the load a little bit, it wasn't as intense as it would have or could have been had I not taken that space. So I honored the calling. So just another reiteration that if you have that happen and you don't know why, but your intuition is speaking to you through you and saying, hey, listen, Friday, don't go there or do this, honor it, because there's always a higher purpose to that. You will not see it in the moment, but you will see it later on. Welcome to September, where the air is shifting, the energetic current is strong, and the cosmos and our higher selves are asking us to trust where the tides are taking us. The first half of September is much like a mirror in the way that it is drenched in reflection and revelation. We've got Saturn, the planet Saturn, receding back into Pisces, covering some past patterns, old ground, old terrain, reminding us of familiar lessons, both personally, definitely, and collectively. Collectively speaking, we're also wrapping up a 29-year cycle, getting ready to start a new one. We've had glimmers of what that can look like and has looked like when Saturn entered when Saturn entered Aries back in May, but now Saturn will recede back into Pisces on September 1st. This is calling us to anchor down when all we may want to do is float out to sea, metaphorically speaking, or maybe literally. We may feel like we want to float away and escape into the dream, but there is still work, there's always work that needs to be done. On September 7th, we are met with a powerful full moon, total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. This is a part of a story, a continuation of a story that began last August, September. So you're going to want to reflect back, what was stirring for you then? What needed and or still needs release, healing, surrender? Because that chapter opens again, but this time with new layers of truth being mirrored back. Meanwhile, Mercury, the cosmic reporter and messenger, enters Virgo, its home sign. This is sharpening our focus and urging us to get clear. Details matter. Discernment matters. And this transit of Mercury through Virgo, which is very quick, it's only until September 18th, it helps us to untangle any confusion so we can see the truth of what's before us. And just as we may begin to find some footing, Uranus, the divine disruptor, the great disruptor, stations retrograde, shaking the foundations and shifting the lens of which we see the world, the way in which we see the world, or our world. September is not about pushing forward at all costs. It's about divine protection and redirection, and we need to trust that all is where it needs to be, that we are where we need to be. That divine protection and redirection sometimes comes through in the form of rejection. Sometimes it arrives in the form of delays. Either way, Spirit is steering us exactly where we're meant to be. And if you'd like to go deeper into the sign-by-sign breakdown, how these shifts land personally for you in your chart, in your life, intuitively, that's available for my Soul Scribers, my Soul Scriber members. That is where I offer extended forecasts and more intimate guidance. So stay with me as we explore the cosmic tides of September and how you can best navigate them with grace, grounding, and trust in the higher order, in the greater current. Each month when I break down these forecasts, I channel a message that encapsulates the energy of the whole entire month. And for the month of September, here is our message. September is where diligence meets harvest, a month to honor the work, reflect on the journey, and lay bricks for what's still to come. Moving into the general collective breakdown, on September 1st, Saturn, the taskmaster, the keeper of time, the planet of karma, but even more importantly, it's the planet of work and boundaries and restrictions and also revelations and recognizing where we're repeating patterns that are not serving us or maybe are serving us, or there's a reminder of where we need to redirect our energies, our energy, our current conscious climate. Saturn moving back into Pisces is going to cover some old terrain. It is definitely going to feel more emotional. It can definitely make us feel like we're going, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, that we're able to initiate and implement new changes and fresh starts, but then we might have to stop and come back and revise, revisit old storylines, emotional patterns. So don't get tripped up focusing too much on the past and feeling like a failure because you're not ready to launch just yet. There's a reminder here that there still might be more to do. Collectively speaking, Saturn moving back into Pisces is going to pull a lot of focus onto anything having to do with water, the literal ocean, marine life. Saturn in Pisces is also going to bring us back to more issues or situations around healthcare, boundaries with that, literal boundaries, borders, traveling. A lot of themes could be revisited that we saw cropping up last year. Again, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Your job is just to try to stay as grounded as you can through it all. If you're familiar with your chart, look for where Pisces falls, especially the later degrees of Pisces, like 26 to 29 degrees of Pisces, because you are going to be revisiting a storyline in that area of your birth chart and of your life. And remember, you can always pull up your birth chart fast and free right on my website. I've got a free downloadable guide through the houses for you as well, and a how to track these energies in your birth chart. So if you're interested in that, and you absolutely should be, because your birth chart is your psycho-spiritual roadmap. And it's really, really amazing to understand and integrate the energies to help you to move with the energy rather than move against it. But I digress as usual. You want to look at the Pisces area of your chart to see where you may have to revise some things, mainly boundaries, the way that you take care of yourself, your spiritual health and well-being, also your physical health and well-being. Then Mercury will move into Virgo on September 2nd and will remain there until September 18th. Mercury loves to be in Virgo, the mastermind. Mercury is a mastermind in the sign of Virgo. Mercury is our mind. It's our mind, the way that we think, the way that we receive information, the way we put our intellectual energy out there, the way we master subjects and topics, what we're interested in, what we are not interested in. All of that is governed underneath our Mercury, our personal Mercury. Collectively speaking, while Mercury is in Virgo, we all get a mental boost. Our brains are much more active. And at the same time, our nervous systems can be much more active and reactive. Our digestive systems can go into overdrive. So you, again, want to make sure that you're grounding as best as can be. Virgo energy is fabulous for plotting and planning and details and organization, and we are in Virgo season at this point. So we've got the sun in Virgo, Mercury then enters Virgo. And sure, this could give us all a wonderful collective boost, but at the same time, it can lend to feelings of overwhelm and an overtaxing of the system and then potential burnout, especially when it comes to technology. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I know we're not under a Mercury retrograde right now. However, Uranus is about to station retrograde, and there's other things going on. And intuitively, I just think it's a very smart idea to keep up with your devices that hold, especially the ones that hold very significant and pertinent information, contacts that you need, documents that are super important. Keep copies, download things, save them. Just take a little bit of maybe precautionary measures, because September can definitely see a lot of internet glitches, computer glitches, technology glitches, more than likely. So it always helps to just be a little bit prepared. Treat it like Mercury's retrograde, even though it isn't. Back everything up, document-wise. And be sure to leave a little time in your schedule for fun, so it's not always work, 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 work. Shadow side of the Virgo, because we are going to all be much more mentally active and physically reactive. At the same time, we've got this lovely trine from Jupiter to the North Node at 18 degrees. Jupiter's at 18 degrees of Cancer, and the North Node will be at 18 degrees of Pisces. And this is the strongest September 2nd through the 7th. This is the energy of the heart. This is the energy of joy. This is the energy of sensitivity, emotion, compassion, empathy. It's about embracing abundance and recognizing that gratitude is the attitude. And the more we are in a space of gratitude, the more we can be open to abundance of any and all forms. And the more that we lend our grace and compassion and empathy to others, it just opens up the way for even more abundance. And abundance is not financial, right? Abundance can be of all forms and is of all forms. It's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual. You can be rich without having a dollar in your pocket. It's about what's in here. It's about the soul. And Jupiter trining this North Node in Pisces reminds us to be sweet and gentle and connect back and go inward and trust self, connection being a key word here. This all leads back to gratitude, which then leads back to abundance. Like I always say, there's always something to be grateful for each and every day. And sometimes we just really have to dig a lot deeper to find it, but it's there. This is not the time to be too guarded with your heart. It's definitely a time to be more expressive. You don't want to live with regret. September 6th, Uranus stations retrograde. Uranus now at 1 degree of Gemini is going to station retrograde on September 6th. And then Uranus will move back into Taurus on November 7th and will remain there until it shifts into Gemini for good on April 25th of 2026. So yes, we've had a glimmer. Uranus and Gemini, things have definitely been speeding up. There's a lot going on with technology. There's a lot going on with aviation. There's a lot going on within ourselves, within our own nervous systems. We think about cell, like cell towers, Uranus, but also cells as in our body, what's in here. Uranus stationing retrograde is also going to be reminding us where we need to slow down and take the time to integrate all of the change that's been going on around us, not only and especially collectively, but personally. It's a lot to keep up with. And, we're all on the brink of burnout in different ways. Systems are taxed. Just like technology, computers need a reboot. They need time, they need downtime, they need to be powered down. So do we. So while Uranus is retrograde, this is a really great time to implement and integrate change in a slower manner that allows us a space to really reflect. It still can be disruptive because it is Uranus after all, but it can also bring us towards a lot of change and freedom and growth, necessary growth. Now, all of this that's going on in the beginning of the month is leading us up to a Pisces full moon on September 7th. But this is not an ordinary full moon. This is a total lunar eclipse, aka blood moon, which means it's a full moon, and full moons in and of themselves are always going to be very emotional, heightened awareness, heightened intuition, somewhat disruptive at times. But then in Pisces, it's amplified because Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac and is definitely probably the most psychically sensitive of the signs. So we've got the moon, which is our intuition and our receptivity. It's yin energy, and it's in the sign of one of the more psychically sensitive, receptive signs, Pisces, very emotional. So we've got all this water energy going on here. And then on top of that, oh, by the way, it's a total lunar eclipse. It's a full moon times 10 times 10 times 10. Full moons do pull up the tides. There's a gravitational pull here that's in effect. And even though it is not scientifically proven that it affects us as human beings, it absolutely does. We all know this. And if you track it more, you'll notice it even that much more. Beginning of September, especially as we move up towards this lunar eclipse, and like I said, don't make this confirmation bias, for example, to say, oh my gosh, I have a headache, it must be the eclipse, or my digestion is all messed up, it must be this energy. A lot of times it is. But sometimes you really just aren't feeling well. So please just make sure that you always check in with self, that something's not really going on, and that even if it is, it could be exacerbated by the energies, absolutely. But just make sure, okay? Don't be, like I always say, don't be your own doctor, don't be your own hero. If something's going on, always get it checked out. You know yourself best. You'll feel it intuitively, especially with a full moon in Pisces. You're going to feel it if something more is there or to it. But this corner can absolutely pull up anxiety, stress, disruption to the circadian rhythm. Think about what happens when we have eclipses, especially a lunar eclipse. The Earth passes, the moon doesn't have its own light. Think of it that way. The light of the moon is really the reflection of the sun. So when we have a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse, the Earth is passing between the sun and the moon and blocking out that light of the moon. So we lose that power source temporarily for some moments in time. Energetically speaking, If you don't think that that can affect us physically, I just encourage you to think more deeply. Remember, September is a month of reflection and revelation, because I can go on and on about this for hours. I won't. I will just say take very good care of your body. Remember that this full moon falls in the sign of Pisces. We're in Virgo season. We have a full moon when the sun and the moon oppose each other. So Pisces and Virgo are the two signs that deal with health and healing most significantly. Virgo is more of the physical body, the physical vessel, the way that we take care of ourselves, our everyday habits and routines, the way that we curate our everyday life, the order and the structure of the mind, but also of the body, the purification of the vessel, which is the body. And then we've got the opposite sign of Pisces, which is all about the spiritual body, the spiritual well-being, but also that feeds into the mental well-being, the emotional. It is all connected. And these energies are reminding us of that. So where anything is out of whack or out of balance, we will be reminded. To go one step further, you're going to want to look to the part of your birth chart that contains Pisces, more specifically 15 degrees of Pisces. Again, in my how-to, which is a free video here, if you're interested, it will tell you how to locate this, because you're going to want to look at that. You're going to want to know that. I use the Placidus house system when I track personal astrology. I find it to be the most accurate. I'm not going to argue about it. That's just my opinion, the way I've always done it. And you do it your way, but I highly suggest for personal astrology, you track it with Placidus and not the whole house system. Because especially when we're dealing with big energies like eclipses, it's very helpful to know exactly where that lunation is falling for you. So strong reminder around this eclipse of where we might need to take better care of ourselves, mind, body, spirit, where we have not been taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. And then also closing out chapters so that we can begin new ones. Let's pull up the chart real quick. Full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse takes place at 2:08 p.m. Eastern time. I have this set for New York. You can absolutely and should set it for your location. This eclipse is at 15 degrees and 22 minutes of Pisces. We've got the moon here at 1522, directly opposite the sun at 1522. We see the north node in Pisces at 18 degrees. This is how we have eclipses, when the lunation occurs by the nodes of the moon. And then we've got the south node directly opposite with the sun over here at 18 degrees of Virgo. Jumping back for a moment, I just want to say this also. I kept getting for a while, and when I look at the charts coming up, I'm going to just reiterate this. All up the East Coast, the whole entire month of September, I am expecting very wet weather and often unpredictable and erratic storm paths. So for example, we just had Hurricane Erin. Thankfully, it didn't hit the way that they thought it would in certain areas, but I just kept feeling that it was more than what we were seeing on the news, for example, or that it wasn't quite accurate. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of that as we move throughout September, especially all up the East Coast. So the Carolinas, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Florida, although they're used to that, still just be very careful, very mindful. Know that the weather can change in the drop of a dime. So if you pay more attention to the air, to the energy, it's going to feel more electric just because we're in eclipse season. But pay attention. I always say pay attention to the wildlife, because by the way that they behave, we know when something else is coming. This is true. This is a phenomenon. So and then also trust your intuition. A huge theme of Pisces energy, and Virgo as well, is really being able to feel and trust, and not to try to make logic fit into every corner where you receive downloads, because that just does not work. When we're thinking about channeling the Pisces energy, which we all have, by the way, somewhere, we're looking at channeling our higher self, essentially, our connection to the divine, our ability to trust and surrender to the flow of the energy, and that some things just are. And if that sounds woo-woo, it is, because that's Pisces. But then we have the opposite sign of Virgo, which takes that woo and makes it practical for you, one of my taglines, because Virgo is an earth sign, a grounded earth sign that feels in through the physical vessel for the physical body, but is also just as intuitive as Pisces. It just receives it a different way. So when it comes to the weather, I just want to say that, please, all of September, I have been feeling that for a very long time, and I'll probably get more into that in a different video, but I'm just going to leave that there. Never about fear-mongering. It's just about knowledge. Knowledge is power, and being more mindful and being a little more prepared goes a long way. What do I mean by being more prepared? Well, if you have a leaky window or a water spigot or something that needs to be corrected, that could be really detrimental if we have a lot of water or water damage or flooding or anything like that, high winds, etc. You're going to want to just make sure that that's okay. Just in case. I'm not saying it's definite. I'm just saying this is what I was feeling, seeing, visions, etc. So just be mindful of that. Have some extra water on hand. Have some extra peanut butter, granola bars, things that are non-perishable, just in case. I mean, that's always a good idea because we just never know, right, when disaster might strike or when crisis may hit us or when we might not be able to leave the house for a few days. Maybe we're sick. We just don't know. So it's always a good idea anyway. Speaking of the East Coast, I normally don't even look at this as like a New York or a specific area for the eclipse. I should actually have this set to the whole sign system since we're dealing with mundane astrology. But however, this is how it is. It's on New York. I can't help but notice that we've got this T-square in this chart. This is New York, by the way, the chart for New York. The sun, obviously opposing the moon, both squaring the ascendant in Sagittarius. So this leads me to believe that there could be some potential disruptions with travel around this eclipse. And more than likely, it will be due to some weather. And I do feel like this is that New York area specifically, more than likely the whole area that we just talked about. On the personal level, this eclipse is getting us really in touch and in tune with where we still need to let go. And I'd like you to think back to last August and September. What was going on in your life? What was coming up for you? What might have been changing or what might have you been recognizing? And because eclipses are always very fated windows of time, the lights go out, the lights come back on. This is eclipse energy, the sun and the moon, the power sources. You could find that there might be some doors that slam shut for you around this time, or that you end up slamming shut. We're moving on, we're letting go, we're releasing. And it's really important to be in a state of surrender and flow. I always recommend when it comes to eclipses that the best advice is not to really do major rituals. It's more about just being in the energy, taking care of yourself, and like I said, being in that state of flow to see what comes up and comes through for you. And remember, this is going to always be different for everyone because we all have our own unique astrology configuration. We are all stardust. Those stars all shine differently, but they all shine. You know the saying, what we resist persists? So here's the thing. Anything that we're resisting, eclipses can become much harder to handle. This energy can be much harder to ground. However, if you're in a space of that acceptance, like that was then and this is now, eclipses are really all about getting us on track and or back on track. Fast tracking us to our destiny, especially when we've drifted far from the original path. You know, that path that we set before we incarnated here on the earth plane, because that's what our birth charts are. They're our soul contract. Keep your thoughts as positive as you possibly can. We have the support here of Jupiter at 19 degrees of Cancer in a really nice trine to this full moon, to the north node. It's in a sextile to the sun and the south node. Reminds us to be grateful for what we have, for the good, for the goodness that surrounds us. Jupiter is the planet of bounty and all the good things and abundance, gifts. And in a trine to this eclipse, it's just a reminder that all the good that you put out there can and will come back to you in ways that you might not even recognize or be able to fathom. So stay positive, stay open to the magic, stay open to the miracles, stay open to the possibility. Pisces energy is all about magic. It reminds us to dream and to believe in the dreams, trusting that we can have all that we desire. Looking back to your birth chart, whatever part of your birth chart contains Pisces, and especially the 15th and the 29th degree of Pisces, is being impacted not only by this lunar eclipse, but also by Saturn. So there is going to be some illumination of what still needs to be set off, set free. So something is being sparked here. Something's being triggered that needs to shake loose from your soul, from your psyche, from your reality, potentially. As this full moon falls at 15 degrees of Pisces, this is what we call the second decan of Pisces, or the second third of degrees here. And it brings in a flavor of Cancerian energy. And we've got Jupiter in Cancer supporting us, trining this moon. So again, it could feel very emotional, but also extremely intuitive. Like you're picking up information left and right. The dream space is very active. But also, we could be feeling much more emotional, for better or worse. Really important to try and activate some sort of consistent sleep schedule and take care of the nervous system, take care of the body. The tarot card associated with this full moon, with this decan of Pisces, is the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups has always been one of my favorite cards of the whole entire deck. I always look at this card as the Make-A-Wish card. Wishes do come true. Dreams do come true. Yes, you can have it all. Your cups can be full. Nine of Cups. This is all about abundance and prosperity. And the fact that this full moon carries strong Jupiterian energy, strong energies of Jupiter, the vibration of Jupiter, as Jupiter is in Cancer and Jupiter's trining this eclipse. There's also always the reminder that too much of a good thing, too much of anything can be bad for us, cannot be the best for us. So we have to watch out for that as well and be very conscious and careful about what and where we're trying to co-create and how we're allowing the energies to land in our lives. And are we staying in a place of graciousness and compassion? And as long as we have the ability to self-reflect, we're good. Self-reflection is a true gift. Not everyone always wants to honor and respect that gift, but those that do will have an easier time moving through these energies. As you know, I love my gemstones. I love working with gemstones and the metaphysical properties of gemstones. Having said that, the one that I have chosen for this full moon, for this total lunar eclipse, is Larimar. Larimar is a stone from the Caribbean, from the Dominican Republic, actually. Beyond the visual appeal of Larimar, because let's be real, Larimar is beautiful. It's one of my favorite looking stones. In fact, I have a very dear friend who is Colombian, and every time she travels, she grabs me a beautiful piece of Larimar. I love her. It's great. But I love Larimar, and Larimar, again, is beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to wear. It does remind us of water. It reminds us of the flow of the energy of the water. But it's also, metaphysically speaking, the properties connected to Larimar are that of communication, emotional healing, also stress reduction, helping us to relax, assisting us to relax and to be more in the flow, riding the current rather than moving against it. Remember, Pisces is all about the seas, the water. You can always purchase authentic gemstones through Otter Spirit. I have it linked right here and in the description box below. Yes, I am an affiliate with them, full disclosure, but I do not say yes to collaborations hardly ever, but I absolutely love Otter Spirit's products, their story, everything they represent. I'll actually link that down below if you're curious to hear how I got involved with them, but I absolutely love them. In fact, I'm actually wearing their prosperity bracelet pack right now, which is jade, aventurine, and citrine. I love these, and they're also very grounding. This is great. They also have another one of my favorite packs that I put here. I actually put it here so I could remember to talk about it during this video, is the grounding pack, because everybody always asks me, how can I ground? How can I ground? Well, besides the obvious things such as getting outside and touching grass, walking in the grass, breathing in the fresh air, going out into nature, disconnecting from all tech for some time, also meditation, music. This protection pack has hematite, lava rock, and black tourmaline, three of the most grounding and protective stones. You can shop these for a discount, and that's all linked in the description box below. So where will this full moon lunar eclipse fall for you? Remember to always follow your rising sign for most accuracy, and you're definitely going to want to look at the degrees of your charts so that you get it even more accurately. Also follow your sun sign, of course, and your moon sign if you know it, but your rising sign is definitely going to be the most accurate. So for Aries rising, it's your 12th house. For Taurus, it's the 11th. For Gemini, it's the 10th. Cancer, the 9th. Leo, the 8th. Virgo, the 7th. Libra, the 6th. Scorpio, the 5th. Sagittarius, the 4th. Capricorn, the 3rd. Aquarius, the 2nd. And Pisces, the 1st. And if you want to listen to more deeply about how this particular eclipse season can impact you, check out the video linked in the description box below, a conversation that I had, a reading that I did with a fellow astrologer, Big E, Eric Taylor of Big E Astrology. We go into the rising signs and the way that this eclipse season can impact you, what you'd be working through, working on. So check that out. As this will connect back, it's part of a larger story that began last August, September, and will continue because we also have a solar eclipse on September 21st. That will be in the second half of September reading. We've got a solar eclipse on September 21st at the last degree of Virgo, which is indicative of new beginnings, yes, but not without endings. So this is all part of a bigger storyline here. So you're going to want to know what parts of your chart, or AKA your life, these energies are impacting. Remember, knowledge is power. After we come off the energy of that eclipse, September 10th, we've got the sun in Virgo exactly aligned with the south node in Virgo and opposing the north node. Fate, destiny. So if the eclipse comes and goes and you're sitting there saying, nothing happened, I don't know what she's talking about, I didn't feel any different, it may not be on September 7th. Remember that. Eclipses span over time. The energies are not immediate. Sometimes they are. Sometimes doors slam, doors open, things become very evident, secrets come to light, illumination occurs. Yes, of course. But other times it unfolds over time. Again, like think about a book spanning, opening up the pages, okay? The magic is unfolding because we're looking at it as magic, right? Keeping it positive. The sun aligning with the south node in Virgo at 18 degrees of Virgo, there's a strong push and reminder of where we need to let go and grow. The toxins, the habits, the behaviors, mind, body, spirit, everything that isn't working, let it go, let it flow. Surrender. That fast tracks you to your destiny, the North Node in Pisces. That's the opposite. That doesn't always feel fun when we need to release something or when something is released from our lives. But bigger picture, it will take us where we're meant to be. Remember, Spirit is trying to help us to steer the ship to exactly where we're meant to be. Spirit is helping us steer the ship to exactly where we're meant to be. We are always co-creators of our destiny. Don't ever doubt that. And then on September 13th, Goddess Vesta, asteroid Vesta, enters Sagittarius, where she will remain until November 15th. And in a nutshell, Vesta in Sagittarius, it reminds us to have fun. It reminds us to let the little kid inside out of us. It reminds us to play, to expand, to travel even if we're in the position to do so. Short distance travel, long distance travel, whatever you can do. But get out there and allow yourself to have some fun, to let loose a little bit. On September 13th, Mercury, in the place of its home where it really genuinely loves to be, Mercury in Virgo aligns with the sun in Virgo, and we have our Mercury Cazimi. This Cazimi is happening while Mercury is direct. So this is even, well, it's not more powerful than when we have the Mercury Cazimi while Mercury's retrograde, but it's powerful in a very different way. It's energizing in a very different way. And it can even be much more stronger when it comes to the clarity that we can receive because Mercury is now direct and in the sign that it favors, in a position where it's very high, where it holds high order. And when we have the conjunction of Mercury and the sun, this is actually the superior conjunction of Mercury and the sun, this Mercury Cazimi. And it's happening at 21 degrees of Virgo. So again, look to your chart to see if you have anything around, 19 to 23 degrees of Virgo especially, or any of the mutable signs, because you will really likely feel the energizing energy of this alignment. We all will feel it, by the way. We'll all feel it mentally. There could be some clarity, strong epiphanies. I always say to keep your dream journal handy or keep your phone handy as downloads come pouring in. It's really important because a lot of insights can come through. And they don't have to be spoken for them to carry weight or for them to make sense. Remember that. Just to show you, we've got Mercury and the sun right here at 21 degrees of Virgo. The south node's close by, which means that we've also got the north node being activated. So these moments of clarity that can come through, these insights, are absolutely meant to be fast tracking us to our destiny, to our highest calling, to our highest purpose. Jupiter is also supporting this Cazimi, this conjunction of Mercury and the sun. The moon will be in Gemini at the time of this conjunction of Mercury and the sun. And Gemini is also ruled by Mercury. So Mercury favors Gemini as well. So we've got the moon, the internal, and the sun, the external, and then Mercury in signs that are Mercury ruled. So this just further amplifies the clarity that can come in. But at the same time, it can be overabundance of information where we could get a headache or feel overstimulated. So do take some time, especially as we're coming off of that lunar eclipse and we could all feel very buzzy. You're going to want to take that time. Think of really the whole first half of September, the whole entire month, actually, I'm going to say this. Take some time each and every single day to make that conscious effort to reset your system. Reboot the systems, okay? It's very, very important. It will go a very long way in helping you to truly recognize and receive all of the blessings that are wanting to come in for you. To take it back to what I said at the beginning about September, it is a month of reflection and revelation. But this Cazimi is going to be very energizing. Woo, okay. So that was a lot. I feel like I talked a lot. I'm lightheaded. I'm going to go get some water, get something to eat. I have to do a podcast tonight. But anyhow, I hope that this was helpful. That's just the first half of September. If you appreciate these insights and would like to go more deeply, I have 2 different membership offerings. I'm just going to put it at the end of this video. Through my Substack subscription, you get deeper insights, weekly podcasts, meditations, rituals for each lunation, more detailed insights and readings for each sign for each month, and other goodies. That's also linked in the description box below. YouTube members get the recordings of the weekly podcasts and the monthly insights. If that's of any interest to you, I'm going to link it real quick right here at the end of this video. And if this is where our journey ends, so much love, many blessings. Remember to ground, remember to breathe, take good care, honor everything, and just trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Have a fabulous month. I'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Warm wishes for a happy and healthy 2025. I am so excited to be here with all of you, all of my beautiful subscribers, and to continue to put out supportive content. I will continue to give you astrological and intuitive updates. My channel will not be changing. I will be doing new moon and full moon readings along with some insights through the signs, monthly astrological and energetic updates, astrology updates overall, and some more how-to videos, readings on current events, etc. None of that will change. That will all still be here on my channel, but I am excited to roll out a few new options for 2025. Here on YouTube, I now have a membership. That membership is $7.99 a month. You do not have to join the membership, but you can if you want to. And what that membership encompasses is obviously all of the general free content that is out there and will continue to be out there, but with more exclusive content. So every Sunday, I go live and I give the astrological and energetic forecast for the upcoming week. And we have some spiritual chit chat there. There's a live chat. Now that is going to be sent to you with the YouTube membership by recording. If you wanted to be a part of the live stream, I have another subscription, which is based on Substack, which is where I have my newsletter and where I am the most interactive. And that will also be linked in the description box below if you're interested in that. But the Substack membership is $10 a month, okay, to be transparent, or $100 per year. And every Sunday, I do go live and I give the astrological and energetic update and forecast. And it's, like I said, it's interactive and I answer questions. And then monthly, I do a live Zoom where I go into more details for each month, readings through the signs. And in those monthly lives, there's also the opportunity to be read, both astrologically and psychically, combination of the two. That is with my Substack subscription. That is with my newsletter subscription, to be clear. The YouTube subscription, the one that is $7.99 a month, you will get the recordings of everything that I do on my Substack newsletter. To join the YouTube subscription, all you have to do is go right to my homepage and just click join. And once again, thank you to all of my amazing subscribers. I'm so thankful and grateful to each and every one of you. I'm also grateful that I get to provide this content, and I really hope that it supports you on your spiritual journey.